Hey guys, welcome back to Making Finances Sexy. It is me, Rose Short, aka the Red Queen. Come down the rabbit hole with me. I am a realtor here in the Phoenix Valley. I'm also a financial consultant and CEO of Kronika Luxury. It's my mission to help you build multiple income streams, fire your boss, and live your best life. And with me, of course, is the wonderful and talented Miss Jessica Lay.
Hey guys, it's me, Jessica Lay, your Rent Rave owned realtor, right here in the Phoenix Valley and certified instructor with the company 101 Financial, making it my mission to assist you from moving from renting to homeownership, no matter your situation. I'm ready to be your personal finance coach and first time home buyer specialist. And what are we talking about today?
We are talking about mindset, which is really ironic because I am struggling with this right now.
We all have those moments.
It's so important to keep a positive mindset and to keep focused on the goals versus the challenges and the bumps in the road, right? I think it's so easy for beginners, entrepreneurs, anyone who's just starting out to have that one or two bumps in the road and, make a mountain out of a molehill and just give up because they don't have the right mindset.
Yeah, for sure. This episode's all about like unleashing a winning mindset. So like the there is such power to positive thinking and then also overcoming our limiting beliefs and with goal setting and visualization, your resilience and having a growth mindset. We also need to think about the self-care for our well-being, like you mentioned, like you're at your capacity right now. So taking a step back and playing with your dogs and doing all those things that is self-care to you
Yeah.
can really just bring us back and get us to a more positive thinking when we start to spiral.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we talk about having an important why, right? Like something bigger than yourself. Because again, like if it was just me, I'd just be like, I'm done. I quit trying. I give up. This is stupid. But I have other people in my life that rely on me. I have the dogs who I'm, trying to build a better life for. I have my significant other who I'm trying to build a better life for. So there's no stopping, and that helps. But again, when you get in that like, oh well, it's been a week and this hasn't gone the way I wanted, or, it's been 3 months and I'm not a millionaire, like whatever that might be. Going into it going into anything, expecting instant results is going to set you up for failure. And if you can't figure out how to take a step back, reanalyze, pivot, readjust, try something new with what you're doing, then I think you're just, again, setting yourself up for failure. You have to get out of that, well, I tried, it didn't work mindset, and get into that growth mindset of, okay, well, this is kind of working, but this isn't. So what if I change this? And, learning from it instead of just throwing your hands in the air.
Oh yeah, I used to struggle with that a lot. If something didn't work out the first time, I'm like, "Oh, nope, this isn't for me." On to the next thing, and that can be a really dangerous spot because I'd pick up these different hobbies or jobs or whatever and give up like when when things could have gotten better or whatever because one little hang up or that limiting belief voice in my head telling me that this isn't for me and then listening to it.
Hmm.
It can just then you're in that constant cycle of trying something new, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't work because you're not putting in the time essentially. And
Yeah.
having a winning mindset is crucial for success. It shapes how we approach challenges, setbacks, and our opportunities. A winning mindset helps you stay positive, resilient, and focus on your goals. It enables us to overcome obstacles and persevere in the face of challenges, and it empowers us to believe in ourselves and to continue to set ambitious goals. And it's, yeah, just a lot of good things.
Yes. And when we say winning mindset and positive spin, we don't mean you have to be, extremely optimistic or naively optimistic or anything like that. Like there's still a sense of realism that needs to be a part of it, but there's a lot of different ways that you can shift from that. Everything's terrible, I just gotta give up mindset to that winning mindset. And it starts with, as we talked about before, really analyzing yourself and how you react to things and recognizing that, like, oh, wait, this isn't that big a deal, but I've got this negative voice in my head that's making it a bigger deal. Maybe I can just cut out that negative voice and then process it differently, right? Quote I saw recently that I really liked was, you can't see your reflection in stormy waters, so don't try to make a decision when you're angry because you don't have the clarity, right? And it's the same for if you're stressed or if you're sad or if you're, disappointed in yourself, like whatever that heightened emotion is, you're likely not thinking clearly. And so recognizing that, stepping back, processing it, sitting with it, working through it, and then going from there, which is easier said than done, is what's going to start helping to shift that mindset from, I'm going to sit here and listen to this negative voice, to, hey, no, you know what? You had your time. It's gone. You need it out of my head. I need support in my head. I need a good, positive voice in my head. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where to start.
Yeah, and something that helped me with that self-talk that was negative and doubt and everything was um it sounds simple and you hear it everywhere, but gratitude. It really works. Like I struggled to say one nice thing to myself for a really, really long time. So I just started with gratitude. I'm thankful I have a house. I have a roof over my head. Like, I have a partner that's supportive of me when I have my spiral moments and like supports me in things. I have my dog. Like, it's so easy to find things to be grateful for. And if you just tell yourself that daily, then you'll notice that your mindset definitely does a good positive shift, and you're not like it's not like I love myself, like 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 it's so
I'm
hard to,
awesome.
yeah, I'm awesome. Like sometimes it's you don't feel that way about yourself, so think
Yeah.
of like all the good things that are currently around you to start.
And then one of the other things is learn how to take constructive criticism. One, if you reach out to somebody, make sure it's somebody who gives constructive criticism, not passive criticism or anything like that, or negative criticism just to be negative. But it's an innate theme that when we get criticized, we go into fight or flight because we feel attacked. And again, it's because a lot of times we're letting our emotions cloud our judgment. And that's one of the reasons that Jess and I practice ice baths, is because when you get into 32-degree water, your fight or flight goes through the roof, right? But we breathe through it, we work through it, and that's one of the reasons that we do it. And it's the same with constructive criticism, or even if it's unsolicited criticism, right? You've got to learn to breathe, to process it, to accept that somewhere in there is possibly a nugget that you can take away and make a change, and potentially improve whatever it is you're working on. But the ability to have criticism, have a debate with someone about, well, what if we try this? Well, what if we try this? Well, what if you did this? Without getting irritable, without feeling attacked, is really, really important. That's something that I struggle with, depending on who I'm talking to. Like if I'm talking to work colleagues or something like that, I'm pretty good at it. But if I'm talking to like a friend or a family member and they're doing it, I instantly, and I haven't figured out why I haven't sat with it long enough yet. So see, we're still developing too. I just instantly go on the defense, and I think a lot of it's just because I don't like to be questioned, and I especially don't like being questioned by people close to me. So that's something that I got to work on, and work through. So, so that is definitely another way to get to the growth mindset, is be able to accept criticism. I know you struggle with that for a while too.
Absolutely. Like criticism was not my friend. A more recent example where I'm proud of myself for not like folding and fumbling is my dad actually comment or sent me a message, and after he saw one of my posts, like my whatever educational posts, and he was like, you shouldn't have like it was my bedroom, like background, whatever. And he kind of just criticized that and said, you should not have that in your background, like coats hanging on my door and things like that. And I feel like back in the past, I would have just never made another video after that. But now, like doing ice fast and strengthening that fight or flight response and breathing through it and everything, whenever I get comments that don't feel the greatest, it's actually not a bad thing, and it does help me in the long run. You know, it'll make my videos better and more appealing or whatever, and just roll with it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's the part where a lot of new creators struggle is they're like, well, the background has to be perfect. Like I struggled with that a long time for the dogs content because like I go to film the dogs and then realize that like their toys were all over the floor. And even though I vacuumed yesterday, it looks like I never cleaned my house. And so I got really paranoid about like, you know, where my camera was and like hiding the stuff on the floor until about 6 months in. And then I was like, I don't care anymore. It's one of those things that to some extent, if you're, you know, if you're talking about professionalism or like what is socially acceptable as professional right now, I mean, yeah, you know, maybe that'd be bad. But if you're talking financial literacy or anything like that we're talking about, no one cares what the background is.
No. We're all normal people. We're
Mhm.
authentic too. We're more
Yes.
authentic than your regular financial and realtors out there.
Yes.
Oh, so who cares if my room is messy? Your room is probably messy too.
Yeah. If it's not, kudos. But you know, some of us are our living space is also our working space is also, you know, so I mean if Jess and I both had our own home offices where it could be, you know, minimalist and we were the only ones that went in there, like all of our videos would be professional and have a really awesome background, right? But that's not the world that we live in right now. So it's fine. It's okay.
Just wait till you see the new office at my new house.
Yes. But that's where having the growth mindset also ties into having that support network that we've talked about so often. Is you can't always grow on your own, right? Like sometimes in your heightened emotional states, you think you're right because you're the hero of your own story. And dang it, like you clapped back at that person and you were correct in everything you said. And you need that support structure to be like, well, but they did have a point with this. And like, what if you look at it this way? And you know, that support structure can help you talk through it, bring you back down to a calm state, and then pick out the pieces that were or could be helpful to your situation without instantly just shutting the door and going, nope, that was unsolicited advice. I don't care what you're saying.
Yes, that's a big one. You've talked me off many ledges, and it's just like you said earlier. So, if you're in a heightened emotional state, you're not thinking clearly. So, going to somebody, a mentor, a friend, a therapist, even that somebody that's in a calm, relaxed state to really rationalize with you and help you think more clearly and maybe change your thinking, of course, because you know sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough in my businesses or in my personal life and things like that, but then I get reminded from Kalani or you or whoever, you're like, look, you're doing this, you're healing from a surgery, you're doing events, like you're doing all these things, and we're doing the podcast right now, like, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I am doing a lot of things, and there's really not a race or whatever, as long as you're taking bite-sized steps each day. That's a win. You're not still in the same place you were yesterday.
Exactly. I think that's where you and I struggle a little bit too, is we're great at giving advice. We suck at following our own advice.
Doing the podcast has honestly helped because now I'm like trying to implement these things that we talk about, and it's great advice. It's been
It is.
working, and it's
Yeah.
like awesome.
And again, we're all a work in progress, right? So it's fine. Like we're still learning it too.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think the main thing again, you know, going back to the positive spin on it. So You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be, super happy, optimistic all the time. Never, don't need the Barbie smile on your face all the time and the cheerleader voice all the time. Like, you don't need that to put a positive spin on things. But you do need to, again, have a sense of realism and optimism to be like, okay, this is just a setback. This is not, because sometimes we want to go outside and scream at the universe, like, what did I do? I'm sorry. Can something give? Right? Like, we've all been there. And if going out and screaming for a minute helps, then cool, do it. But then you got to recenter and again look at it from an optimistic and realistic perspective instead of just falling down the negative. So recognize that you're being negative, deep breath, disassociate from the negativity, look at it with a sense of optimism and realism, and then pivot from there and make the adjustments from there. And that will really help you go from a negative mindset to a learning mindset, which is that growth mindset.
Yeah. So like the strategies that you kind of mentioned to cultivate a positive outlook. Well, I mentioned earlier the practice gratitude, but also surround yourself with more positivity. Like again, hanging out with the right people that are supportive and a little bit more optimistic, and they uplift you and share in the positive energy. Like if you're around people that are like, life sucks, this sucks, everything sucks, then you're going to start feeling like everything sucks. Another thing is to limit your exposure to negativity. So be mindful of the media and the content you consume. If you've noticed like people that are watching the news all the time and they're like, oh, like COVID this, COVID that, or like the president's doing whatever the heck they're doing right now. You see how much I pay attention to this stuff because typically the media, it's all negative stuff, and that's what they're feeding each and every one of us. And when you watch it and read things, like it stays within you and it can just harm you on your path to growth. And then another way to cultivate a positive outlook on life would be positive affirmations. That was another thing that helped pull me out of my limiting beliefs. Was I had Post-it notes in my bathroom on the mirror of my affirmations, and I'd look at them and say them out loud like every day, and until I would just unconsciously be saying them to myself, like in my thoughts during the day, like again, it sounds like mystical or whatever. And like, I was one of those people is like, that's stupid. Like, I'm not like, that doesn't work. I'm like, whatever. But
you can't just make your life happy. Okay.
Yeah. But it's insane that it really does work. Gratitude, affirmations, it's super simple. Like you can get started right now. Like go ahead and write a few Post-it notes and stick them somewhere.
Yeah, there was a study done, I think it was in the 80s, where they had a group of bodybuilders who, were trying to lift their max. And they got to what was their max, and they were like, okay, that's it. And then the next day they did the same thing. But then the next day they also sat down and visualized picking up the heavier weight and like talked themselves through it. And I think 8 out of 10 were able to do the lift just because they'd sat there and told themselves they could do it. So there's a lot of data about brain, mind over matter, mind over your body kind of thing. And well, we experienced it. You weren't there, I guess, but with Grayson, right? So Grayson has never done more than a minute 20-second in the ice baths with us when he's been with us. And then and then we talked him through it, and he hit that 2 minutes. He could see the timer, so he got out right at 2 minutes, but actually like 2 minutes, 10 seconds. But he did it. And that was the main thing, because by listening to the mantra and whatnot, it took him out of the fight or flight, but made him experience it at the same time. And so he got to that 2 minutes and was like, oh shoot, that wasn't hard at all. And I was like, yeah, but you had to get out of your head.
Get out of your own way.
And so often that's what you and I tell people. It's like, just get out of your head. Like, you are the one causing this. Just get out of your head.
Yeah, and that brings up another good way to cultivate a positive outlook is mindfulness and meditation. So if we center our thoughts and increase our self-awareness, it promotes a sense of calm and positivity. And so like when you're in a stressful situation, you can rationalize it a little better and not be so reactive to that stressful situation.
Yeah.
And like when um yeah, and I love catching myself in those moments of really, really high stress and then not reacting like ball crying or kicking, screaming like I used to. You can actually like catch it before it gets to that point. And there's nothing more like powerful to be like you mentioned in another podcast, like crazy shit going on all around in the workplace, and then the one girl just looking at you and she's like, I don't know how all this will get fixed, but I look at you and you're just so calm, and and then everything gets fixed, you know, like
Yeah.
it's just really great to get yourself to that point.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, being reactive and dramatic is rarely the answer. And it's the same for a mindset. Being dramatic and negative in your mindset is rarely the answer. So again, it's super easy because we seem to be wired to go the negative very quickly, as a species. But follow the steps, recognize it, deal with it. It'll make it so much easier to deal with not only the stress, but deal with other people, especially as you're building a business, dealing with employees. If you can remain calm and help others see how to spin the negative into, no, this is just a challenge. This isn't the end. Like, this is how we gotta get through it. This is what we gotta do. Game plan it, move forward, pivot. It just becomes so much better for everyone involved. And that's why we always say leaders are the ones who can show you how to do it versus telling you to do it. Because a lot of times people in management roles are like, well, I don't know, but you need to change this, figure it out. Whereas actual leaders will be like, okay, well, let's adjust this, let's do this kind of thing. And that all comes from having that winning mindset. And when you have that winning mindset, you're not only lifting yourself up, but you're lifting up those around you because you can help others pivot from the negative to the positive. And there's just something really fantastic about that. Like, I don't know any other way to phrase it. Because yeah, sexy. It is sexy. Because once you get there, like, you'll see people being dramatic and reactive and negative, and you're just like, what purpose does that serve? But then if you come from there, you're like, okay, I get it, I understand it, but let's adjust. But it just makes dealing with stress so much easier. It makes dealing with life so much easier, especially when it all hits at the same time.
Oh, for sure. I've noticed that when people start flipping out, I'm just like, whoa, this is awesome being on this side,
Right?
this side of it. Like, and then just focus on solutions.
Yeah.
So when faced with challenges, we need to shift our focus from the problem to the solution and approach these difficulties with a positive and problem-solving mindset.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and in the midst of like having a winning mindset, we talk about this all the time, is engaging in activities we enjoy and practicing our self-care along the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. And that could be, 5 minutes a day. That could be a whole day off, like whatever it is for you, like whatever you need, right? Everyone's different. Everyone's journey is gonna be different. Everyone's way of dealing with these is gonna be different. But again, once you make that shift, it's so much easier to be a good leader, a good business person, a good partner, like everything. Like life just does improve because you're not dwelling on the negative anymore.
Okay. So I want to challenge everyone to identify your limiting beliefs. So self-awareness, start being mindful of the thoughts that arise in your mind throughout the day, and then especially those that make you doubt yourself or your abilities, and try to change. Like, it takes a lot of practice, but try to spin it to a more positive light, and you'll just start to feel better and notice better changes in your life happening around you. And then you question the origin of those beliefs. Ask yourself if they're based on facts or if it's a perception. And then examine your evidence, looking for the evidence that supports or contradicts your limiting beliefs. And you might be surprised that it's literally all made up make-believe stuff that's been floating around in there and holding you back from all the possibilities. And always seek support. So share your concerns with a trusted friend, mentor, mental health professional. Sometimes gaining that external perspective can really help you challenge and overcome your limiting beliefs.
Yes. And just as a side on that as well, if you do struggle with knowing what to meditate on or what to think about, we do have within our Ice Wellness Journal subscription a mantra. Now, it is a mantra designed for cold therapy, cold exposure, and whatnot, but it could be used in other aspects of your life as well. So if you need a good mantra, we send a new one out every 30 days to our subscribers. It comes in a written, a audio, and a video format just to help anybody. Like I said, specifically cold plunging is what we designed it for, is to help people get into the ice bath and not freak out. But there are some good mantras just for everyday use as well. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes, no, they're awesome. And everybody should try an ice bath.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is it. So that is how you set a winning mindset. Next week, Jess is going to take us into a little bit of a deep dive on how to actually set up a budget. So we talk about budgeting and planning all the time, but how do you get started? What's the best tools to use? And what do you need to look for? Jess is going to lead us through that next week.
Oh yeah, be budgeting like a pro.
Budgeting sexy.
Oh yeah, it is when you start saving money.
Yeah.